Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of Stash Project, September 20th, 2021. And this is sort of way more of an announcement show than I was planning for it to be. We do have skit releases this week as well, but we did get a number of additional announcements, some teases of future products, and things of that nature. So let's just hop right on into it without any further ado, because we've got lots of stuff to cover. So a week and a half ago or so, Round 2 put out a video covering some future products that they will be putting out. A great deal of the focus was, of course, on sci-fi. They have new Star Trek stuff coming out, new Star Wars stuff coming out with the new Star Wars licensing. But there were a few automotive tidbits. Most of the stuff is probably not really too terribly interesting. A reissue of the uh, old Toronado Californian, the customized car, not and that car being customized the way it is what makes the original AMT Torenados not a reissuable commodity at this point. It would be great if that was a one run of fun and they went back and tooled it back into a 68 or a 69 or even a 67, but I'm not holding out a lot of hope for that. So that was shown. But the one sort of big thing that's sort of been out there as far as the news of it, but first sort of sight seeing of it, is the upcoming Garwood Packer garbage truck. Now, people who are old enough to remember back in the day as young lads will remember that the Garwood C600 based uh, refuse truck was a thing that was put out as AMT to the point where there was box art created for it back in the day. There was 1/10 scale wooden uh, bucks, for lack of a better term, made of it for the tooling. And for whatever reason, AMT chose not to run with this project, and it sat lingering, sort of often languishing, not really, because it wasn't like it ever got tooled and never released. It was very far into the planning stages, but just never anything ever came to fruition with it. And a couple years ago, before COVID, the wooden box for the tooling design showed up at a model contest. And some thought was put into the idea that, well, maybe round two would be interested in fulfilling the mission from back in the 1970s. And coincidentally, there's apparently a fairly amusing story that involves the guy who used to be an AMT employee from back in the Michigan days, who has these items, tried to license them to Round Two, apparently under the auspices of not realizing that Round Two owns a computer and a CAD machine and didn't need a well-traveled 50-year-old piece of wood to base a model of. They could just get the plans from Garwood, or whoever owns Garwood at this point, get a bunch of pictures online, measure it all out, and make their own. So that is what they're doing. There is going to be coming, probably will not make 2021, I would not expect, but first part of 2022 for sure, this new garbage trucks. They showed test shots of it. So what's interesting here, I know the Ford C600 is probably not like inspiring. A lot of people were like, well, why didn't they just make a whole new truck? I think they're selling a lot of never was nostalgia with this, making it as close to what it could have been back in the 1970s. So that's the first step you have to consider with this. So it's going to carry the C600's basic cab, basic interior, and I would assume basic drivetrain in terms of the engine. We don't really see an engine in either of these shots. But what it does have is new frame rails, well, obviously the entire garbage truck part is new, and then it also has new wheels. They're Bud 5 holes rather than being the Dayton multi-part spoke wheels. This is a great addition to anyone who wants to build some 70s, 80s, and even into early 90s trucks, because these are some wheels that have been missing. There's a set of five hole buds in the American Left fire trucks, but they are not anywhere close to being accurate in terms of their shape and proportions. Things are raised where they should be recessed and so forth. Also, from looking at this side shot, it looks like there's a new front bumper on this garbage truck as well. And we got one more shot of the back end with the top off. Supposedly it's functional, so you can pose the thing in a compacted or ready to accept trash mode or things of that nature. I don't know if it actually functions like it works, or it's just posable in multiple ways. That wasn't really specified. But this is 75% new or so. So it's not like you're getting some sort of raw deal from AMT here. A lot of people complaining about whether they make a modern garbage truck, I guess. But again, remember round two, nostalgia, nostalgia. It's all about this was something that never existed and now it does, and they're going to make it as close to probably mimicking that original box art to a certain extent as well, to, sucker, if you will, not really sucker, because again, 75% new. I find this to be a perfectly acceptable use of plastic tooling, but sucker some people into buying this just based on the idea that they remember this thing and they could never have it until now. So we'll see what comes of that. Pricing on that looks like it's going to be retail MSRP around $92, which probably puts your shelf price somewhere in the low to mid 70s. That's caused another whole round of consternation across the Facebook lands, because apparently no one has any money anymore, even though, as someone who delivers giant tractor trailer fulls of parcels every single night, 5 nights a week, starting 6 nights a week in November, I can tell you that you people have money and you're buying everything that isn't nailed down, so stop acting broke. Be that as it may, is it worth it? That's a personal decision. But again, hey, it's 75% new. If you can't wrap your mind around the fact that you're paying basically for the back end of that truck and not the cab, I don't know what else to tell you about it in terms of the price on it. A couple other things that were mentioned were a new TV movie property in automotive, just teased as being something that fills a large gap in TV movie collectibles. There's a bunch of different things that could obviously be. I would look at things that would lend themselves easily to reissuing otherwise. Remember, the Supernatural Impala only exists because that 67 Impala kit from the 1990s already did. All these James Bond tied-in vehicles exist because the tooling was already there for them. They're going to create a brand new, and they're saying it is brand new, they're going to create a brand new tooling for something just for TV movie. It needs to have enough of something below it to justify the cost and the amortization of the tooling over time. A lot of people saying Bluesmobile. Hey, look, I love the Blues Brothers. It's one of my absolute favorite movies after Animal House. But that Dodge Monaco doesn't really lend itself to anything else other than a police car. You get into the people that are like, well, you could do this and you could do that. You could do the other thing. Oh, we're just throwing money around because it's not our money. Things don't necessarily, again, work the way you think they do in tooling land, but still, you're talking about a 2-in-1 kit, right? The Bluesmobile, and I would assume you'd include the emergency equipment and the police decals to do the actual Mount Prospect car as it ran before it was retired and turned into the Bluesmobile. And then what? There's a couple of police vehicles in there. You release it as just a sedan, a demolition derby car. Like, there's not a lot of things to that. The one thing that I like, based on the alliteration of the wording, something that's been missing since the movie came out, and there was just a news article about the movie that this car is from fading away as well, and that's the Challenger from Vanishing Point. Now, yeah, they got a Challenger in their tooling. It's that old Yankee Challenger, the thing that has no roof on it because it's really a convertible. But what is one thing that I know, it's a one of those cars, but what is the one thing that we really don't have a really good version of, right? It's a 1/25th scale Dodge Challenger from 1970 era. Um, the Monogram 1/24th scale kit, it's old, it's from 1982 or 83. It breaks a perfectly serviceable Challenger, but it's not the right scale. And then AMT's kit's cruddy, crappy. It's not that great. Let's be honest. It's not that great. And then Revell tried to do a 1/25th scale one, but it's off of a modified used diecast tooling, and it's all slab-sided and weird and proportioned incorrectly. So if you put some thought into it, I'm saying you could get multiple uses out of a 1970 Challenger tooling, including the movie tie-in to Vanishing Point. And that helps with the alliteration of missing and vanished and all the other things they were saying about it. And you could release it a couple of different ways as a civilian car. Is a top end RT, a down trim model, a convertible if you wanted to, tool up the front end, engineer into a different way to be able to swap it into other Challengers that share that same body style, 71, 72, 73. Things could be done. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't know. And the other thing was 2 new toolkits of modern showroom vehicles. Don't know what that means either because absolutely no hint was given to that whatsoever. You'd think Corvette, you'd think Mustang, right? Those would be the two things that pop into your mind. Why do we not have a C8 Corvette right now, and why is there no other than the Mustang GT4 Tamiya kit? Why is there no version other than the Revell Build and Play? Why is there no version of that new gen Mustang? Will that be what it is? Don't know, couldn't tell you, but we'll find out in 2022 the next time they do one of these little video essays about their upcoming tooling, I suppose. But in the meantime, that's what we got out of that little video series. Then Salvino's stomped into the room this week, and we're like, hey, we've got something. And what they came up with was a licensing agreement with Hendrick Motorsports and NASCAR itself to produce this year's Camaro NASCAR kits from, well, the 4 Hendrick cars. So they're going to do all 4 of these. It says expect scheduled delivery date January to February. I would think that depending on whether or not Kyle Larson wins the championship this year, which it looks like he would unless he completely and totally blows it for the rest of the season. I don't know if you put Kyle's car out first, as it's the championship car and would nominally be the more desirable one, or you put the other ones out first, making people wait for Kyle Larson's car. So maybe they buy a Byron one or an Alex Bowman one or a Chase Elliott one, whichever one comes out first, because they just want to be first one to have a new Camaro NASCAR kit, and then they go back and pile in the Kyle Larson later. These are brand new tools. They are full detail from what Salvinos has said, at least from what my understanding of what they've said. We'll get a good idea of which car comes out first with the Kit of the Month Club guys, because like Lucas C and those people will always put out what they're getting in advance. That usually comes out 2-3 weeks before it arrives in store, so we will find out that way which one comes first. I'd not be totally surprised if they didn't get a box that has the car with whatever car comes in first, and then those guys always get decals afterwards, and then they get decal sheets for the other 3 cars too, so they can build whichever one they want to. But yeah, this is cool, fantastic. I'm all for it. I've joked around with a number of people now that I want to buy an Alex Bowman car, build it on the channel, and see if I can get some money kicked off of my car loan, because I have a car loan through Ally. But yeah, there's rumors, speculation, very strongly hinted that they plan to do the Gen 6 cars, the next gen cars that are coming in the 2022 season, which would be, again, super awesome. Having a Hendrick Motorsports license opens them up to a variety of different things. So, yeah, I'm very interested to see where this goes. There's a lot of hem-haw talk from people who wouldn't really know, but they feel like talking anyway. No, but that are arguing about why they aren't releasing like Mustangs or things like that, and a lot of that comes down to Ford licensing. I personally don't believe in the Ford licensing is too much line of speculation that's going around, simply because they would have the current Mustangs, the next gen Mustangs, and then they have all of that tooling for Monogram, right? They have the old square body, like 81, 82 Thunderbirds, the mid-grade Thunderbirds there in 86. I know the bodies on those aren't that great. There have been discussions way back in the past when they bought that tooling about retooling that mid-80s Thunderbird anyway. You have the late 80s, early 90s Thunderbird tools in there as well. So you have a variety of Fords. Plus, as we pointed out a number of times, Salvino's whole shtick being every car that Richard Petty ever ran. Well, if they're going to make that 1970 Ford Torino that he ran the year he wasn't with Mopar, guessing gonna need that Ford license at some point. So, yeah, too expensive. I don't know about that. It might be too many pots, in the too many pots and too many fires kind of thing. It's just at some point. Having all these vintage cars from Monogram, the new Chargers that they're doing of their own tooling, and now new cars from the current season. There's a lot of things going on there, and having a GM license that's already taken care of probably makes a lot of that, and the Mopar license very easy. So we'll see where that all goes as time goes along, but that'll be coming out after the beginning of the year. We've got some teaser shots from Tamiya relating to their new upcoming Toyota 86 kit. Shazam, there this is. Also, this week they did announce that there will be a Subaru BRZ kit released as well. This does not currently have a release date. The 86 is scheduled to release around Christmas time. I'm assuming January will be the release on this. We'll let you know when it gets an official release date. But one thing that they've done to this kit that is unique, new engineering, is they've made this kit so you don't have to mask a single thing on it if you don't want to. All of the window trim is going to be molded into the windows. It's going to include a set of dual side masks. So you have masks for the inside of the windows, masks for the outside of the windows. You just mask the windows off, paint them the appropriate rubber, black, semi-gloss black, whatever you use for your window trim. And then this picture shows you that roof rubber that every modern car has, which is the expansion joint of the roof between the halos between the A and the C pillar. That is going to be a separate part as well. So there will be no more masking off that little line and painting it. Now, some top-end cars, those would be the body color, so you kind of have to check whether it should be black or should be red. But on the Gazoo 86 one, the one they're actually doing, it is black, and I think it's black on the BRZs as well. Unless you buy trim level that their kit doesn't support. I think the like limited version, which is a different set of wheels and things like that are not included in the parts of the kit, as far as I can see, might have body color expansion joints, but mostly they don't. And so this being separate parts that you paint black and then just glue on, and it looks like the joints to glue them are at the very ends of them, so you should be able to glue them in from the bottom of the body before you put the windows in. That is super duper neat and awesome. I love their engineering. It's very interesting to see what they come up with next in terms of like, well, how about we do Shazam? Shazam was the two-part wheels in the Toyota Supra, the multi-piece wheels, the separate chrome trim, and the separate over fenders on the 240Z Fairlady. So we'll see where they go with it. Every kit is a little bit more fun to build, I think. We got a couple of teasers out of Aoshima. We got the official box art for the upcoming October release of the second version of the Liberty Walk, Liberty Works Lamborghini event, Huracan rather. This has new wheels and a new rear spoiler edited. It's also molded into gunmetal, so that's going to be what the official box art looks like right there. And speaking of Liberty Walk, Liberty Work Aventadors, we got the first production shots of that kit. You may recall this was announced back at the Shizuoka Model Show back in May. No real date was given on releases or anything else like that, but it is finally ready to go. It is going to be a whole new kit, and it is going to be patterned after the style of the Huracan in terms of these new sort of easy building kits. I know this isn't necessarily everyone's favorite thing when they see this because A, they are a little pricey for what the kit is, but B, I don't know, everybody wants 10,000 part model kits for some reason, and I'm pretty sure that if you got this kit and then you got the regular Aventador out and sat them down and looked at them, you could probably kit bash them together, especially the engine components. These are, for better or for worse, designed to be built like a Gundam, unpainted, unless you need to. That's why they come with Mylar stickers for all of the chrome trim and stuff like that. Much like the Huracans, this is going to come with water slide decals, so you can build this as an adult model, quote unquote. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll be getting one just because I like the car. It is the first of the two Liberty Walk Aventadors. A lot of us that follow this channel have the Liberty Walk Aventador version 2.0 that Hobby Design put out, and this will go very nicely with that as another kit. That's one thing I do think is kind of funny for people who say they don't like the style of kit, but also have the resin one. It's like, well, the resin one costs $150 and has no engine detail, and it's basically a snap-tight kit of sorts made out of resin. This actually has probably 25 more parts than the resin one does and costs a third as much. But it's too expensive, I guess. All depends what you're looking at, I guess. We got a new wheel announcement out of the folks over at Asuka. They do the orange wheels, the aftermarket wheels. They're going to be doing a set of these wheels called Drift 6, which are 6-spoke 17, 18-inch wheels. It'll depend on which set of wheels you pick up here. Every one of these packages is going to have two of these sheets in it, right? So you get two runners, is what I'm looking for. So there'll be two 17-inch wheels, two 18-inch wheels, and then the mounting components to do either the 17-inch wheel or the 18-inch wheel. A tachometer and a pistol grip shifter are your sort of add-on pieces there in the middle, and it will be available either molded in white or molded in gunmetal. And the other thing they're showing you there at the bottom right is the two different styles of mounting. So normally this would be a male fitment wheel that you put the lug nuts through and then mount it like a Tamiya kit or a Hasegawa kit, or you cut that part off flush and then you remount the 5-spoke, the the lug nuts with the backer to them, which then makes the center hollow, which will accept the polycap, which will then allow you to mount them onto a Aoshima or Fujimi kit. So a lot of options there. Their wheels and tire sets have done that in the past, or well, not tires, they're just wheels. One thing to keep in mind with the orange wheels is they don't include tires, but if their tire sets do exist, they have a set of two different sets of tires now. One is a cambered set, one is a non-cambered set, but the wheel sets have done that sort of thing in the past where you've sized them with wheel lips rather than there being two different size actual wheels themselves. But obviously there isn't a wheel lip on that kind of Volk style wheel. So there is that. And then we go over to Nunu for the last two announcements for this video. Bringing back the BMAX name, which I think is just confusing matters more than they need to, but this does prove a theory I've had recently, which is that the BMAX Aoshima deal is over in terms of the duration of it. It has officially expired, which frees them again to use the BMAX name with Platts as their distributor. So Aoshima was, again, we've gone over this a gajillion times, but Aoshima was a technical services development partner, taught them how to, I don't know, make instructions, how to lay out molds and stuff like that. Had a lot of say in the F1 kits, but over time, especially with the JIP job that BMAX was getting with Aoshima actual distribution, they pulled back from that, signed a new agreement with Platts, changed the name to Nunu, and the rest is history. Now the agreement has expired with Aoshima. They're free to use the BMAX name again. Again, I think that's just going to confuse people more than anything, but Aoshima is now so far away from these projects that their name shouldn't even be mentioned in the same paragraph with them. But at any rate, bringing back the BMAX name for a reissue, modified reissue, and this is going to be the 1998 class winning for the 24 hours. Getting too far into the next one. For the 1998 Monte Carlo Rally. You see down there in the bottom left your new parts. So you got a new set of wheels, and then the Evo 2. This is a Peugeot 306 Evo Maxi Evo 2. This has new lights, new front bumper. There's a fifth wheel in there to make the spare match. There's a new rear spoiler and a few other little bits and bobs there. But yeah, this will convert the vehicle over without having to buy a resin trans kit for it. There's probably 4 or 5 sets of decals already waiting for this particular car. So optional liveries exist if you don't want to build the Monte Carlo livery. And why I was stuttering over the idea of 24 hours of something is the announcement of this. Now, this has technically been announced before, but we're seeing it sort of as a built shot. It'll be hard to tell in this picture because it's going to show up real small for a lot of you guys, but there weren't, at the time of filming, better pictures of the picture. So we'll go with this for right now. This is the upgrade to the new Audi R8 LMS into the Evo spec. So this is the 2019 through current season car. There's going to be an Evo 2 conversion in the 2022 season. They'll carry it to 2025. That appears to only be a change to the rear spoiler. It'll, instead of being a drop over style like it is now, it'll actually be a gooseneck with it, with the hangers facing the car and the spoiler hanging down off of them. I believe there's no other changes to the car visually. Like, there's a bunch of aerodynamic work done to it, a bunch of engine management work done, a bunch of reliability work done to it, driver comfort work done to it, but none of that stuff's germane to a plastic model kit. It'll make the Audi a very formidable race car, but it doesn't really translate into injection molding anything other than having that rear spoiler. But for the meantime, let's just catch up to where we should be right now. This is going to be the 2019 24 Hours of Nürburgring winning car. Again, opens the door to a plethora of liveries for the 19, 20, and 21 season, probably some 22 cars as well, because not everybody will get an Evo 2 package straight off the gate. Only the Factory Works teams probably will straight away, because they're still testing that platform way later in the season they should be, for it to be ready to go. But with just being a new spoiler, maybe it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, this kit was always designed to do this. This has always been one of the worst kept secrets about this kit, was the fact that they were going to do a later version of the car, but that will eventually be coming. They say just January, I say malarkey, maybe January next year, but it'll still be nice to have out there. You may have seen some of the decal guys are already asking for ideas for the liveries on those, as well as Racing Decals 43 is going to be putting out a decal sheet for that car months before it's going to be released. But at least you'll be the first ones on your block. You should be able to have it ready to rock and roll, as it were, as time goes along. So let's go into the kit releases this week real quick. Just a few things. Most of them are overseas, as it were. We have one release from New Platts, and that is a Japanese-only version of the Toyota Corolla 11A92 89 24 Hours of Spa. This is a window mask release, so this is completely unchanged, just adding the window mask, and you can only get these in Japan. They do not export them out of the country. But if you want window masks and you don't want to buy somebody else's, you can buy one with the things in them if you so choose. That'll take us to Ebro, releasing a new kit this week, and it's the 1965 Lotus Formula One champion, Lotus 33, I should say. Formula One champion is the Coventry Climax FWMV. So this is a Tamiya kit with a bunch of Ebro parts added to it. Ebro put decals in this. I believe there's engine parts that are new to this. The rear cowling is new to this. I think the front nose is new to this too, come to think of it. If you go back through our videos back to May of this year, we did videos from the Shizuoka, or not from, but of the Shizuoka model show, and this was featured prominently in it because it had about 2 parts runners with the new kits plus the new decals. It's taking the Lotus 25 that Tamiya did and turning it into a Lotus 33. But yes, this kit is out there and available now, and it's another one of their collaboration kits. So that's pretty cool. A few new pieces, few new parts, and a whole new kit, which makes you always wonder why Tamiya didn't just do that themselves. But hey, everybody makes some money, and you get a kit, and I guess we're all happy in the end. That'll take us to Hasegawa. We have 3 releases this week. First up, you have the new via resin pieces 1970 Toyota Celica 1600 ST. This has a new resin front grille and a new resin taillight panel, which really isn't a taillight panel much as it is the header between the taillights that accepts a new ST badge and is painted a very germane run-of-the-mill color. I did think it's kind of funny that this kit only comes with the Watanabes. So you're giving me a down trim kit with the Watanabe option wheels, not the genuine aluminum wheels that would make more sense with this, but that makes me think that maybe, hey, you release it as a second boxing as a 1600 ST with genuine aluminum wheels instead from the new wheels they tooled up for this a couple, 3 years ago. But otherwise, it's the same 1600 ST as it's always been, just a couple new parts. Brand new decal sheet in there as well, obviously for the ST trim. Next up, we have the release of the Lancia Stratos HF for the 1981 Tour de Corse Raleigh winning Chardonnay privateer team. So yeah, it's a pretty cool car kit. It's, these are venerable Stratuses at this point, especially with them going through all of these add-on, if you will, decals beyond the original sets of Stratuses, and all the rally cars really they've released over the years. They've been adding new liveries into them, expanding the tooling use, which always makes you wonder why they didn't do that before. But again, decal technology for them, especially since they're doing CYMK type stuff themselves, it's a lot cheaper and a lot easier. But yeah, that's out there for anybody who's interested in that. And then lastly, from Hasegawa this week is this, the 1989 Intertech version of the Corolla 11A92 and the Wed Sport livery. So this is a cool car in the sense that it is one of the first cars that I've seen, and maybe this has been done in JTTC prior, but all of the sponsorship is inverted on the other side of the car, on the driver's side of the car. You may have seen before in like Japanese tuner land, it is not totally uncommon for them to basically put the decals on both sides of the car, but the side that comes through on the driver's side is backwards. It's like you're seeing the inside of the decal that's on the passenger side of the vehicle. And that has this for almost all of the livery options going down the side of the car. So that's pretty cool. Toyota's backwards, Bridgestone's backwards, all that stuff's backwards. This is molded in white, and you have to paint the tri-tone yourself. Now, within that, this car's bumpers are separate, the hood is separate, obviously, there were spoilers separate. So the Tritone isn't nearly as intimidating as it would look or seem at first glance on some cars where all of the stuff would already be attached and you'd be just putting grills and things like that in. So you basically just have to paint the bottom of the car below the character line and the arches over the wheels white. Then the top half of the car is yellow with that diagonal split into the blue. Getting that correct as far as where that split is will probably be a little bit hinky. Only because it's not an even split. If you look at the photo, go back and look at the photo, the blue came up from basically the center of the wheel hub up to the B pillar on the door, but it restarts almost at the, like maybe 6 inches back from the windshield. It's not a straight diagonal line the whole way up there. Or maybe technically it is, and that's just where it shows up again. But it looks disjointed looking at pictures of it. But it's a cool option for the vehicle, and this one did win, or not. I don't think it's won anything in its class, but it did podium place in its class. In the Intertech, this was a second place car in 1989 for that race at Fuji. So just a nice little piece of Japanese racing history there. And that'll take us over to Aoshima for the last few of these, and these are all just restocks, so we're gonna hop through them real quick here. So these are technically the kits that came out this month, if you will. The Obayashi version of the Nissan Sima, this kit was tooled up, modified. Well, the kit was tooled up back in 1989, but it was modified in 2018 into this version, so this is just a restock reissue, basically. And then the K-Brake version of the Toyota Celsior. This was tooled up at the exact same time as that one as far as making this version of it. The Celsior is tooled up in like 2000, so that the kit's not brand new, but all of the K-Brake parts, which was a grill and the bumpers and wheels and ground effects and stuff like that, plus the decal stuff like that, was done back then. But this is a new addition to the tuner line. This has not been reboxed into this new boxing series as of yet. So that is a, technically speaking, new kit or a new reissue of the kit. And then over on the back end here, we have a reissue of the Nissan Silvia Spec R from 1999, just sort of a restock. And then lastly, the Knight Rider kits. These are in a new series called Movie Mecha. These things and the Back to the Future kits are going to be in this new Movie Mecha series. So this is the Season 1 and Season 3 versions of the Firebird from Knight Rider. And they're in new boxings. No new parts, no new additions. There might be like new decal sheets drawn for them and stuff like that, but there really wasn't a lot of decals on those in the first place. License plate, interior pieces, bits and bobs. But yeah, guys, that one wraps up this video. So a lot of new stuff coming down the pike, as it were, and a few releases this week you might be interested in. I had all three of those Hasegawa kits on order because, of course, why wouldn't I have? I'll think about the garbage truck. Not because of the price, just because of, like, do I really want a garbage truck? Like, I do, but will I ever build it? I'm obviously not going to build most of the stuff. Let's be honest. So, yeah, I don't know if another great big rig in here is something I want to do. Maybe I'll watch some people build them up and see what they look like built, and then we'll go from there. But anyway, guys, I hope you had a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on the other side.